You know that promise, right? Work hard, stay loyal. You'll be fine. Your parents believed it. Millions of Americans believed it. They woke up every morning. Same drive to work, same desk, same company, gave everything they had. They thought loyalty actually mattered. But something shifted in 2026. No big crash. No news anchors yelling about a crisis. Just quiet. Over 1.1 million middle-class jobs disappearing. The jobs that used to pay for houses, send kids to college, help people retire. And here's what almost nobody is talking about. This isn't a recession, it's a replacement. So what's actually going on? Why is 2026 different? And the question you're probably here for, could your job be next? By the time we're done, you'll see a pattern. One that connects every single cut, every layoff, every time a company says they're restructuring. And once you see it, you won't be able to look away. Let's start with the one that hits closest to home. Number 10. Walmart. When people can't afford to shop anymore, Walmart isn't just some big store, it's basically how we measure if Americans have money or not. When the economy's doing okay, people still shop there but maybe grab a little less. When things get bad, those parking lots fill up fast because honestly, where else are you going to go that's cheaper? So when Walmart starts cutting jobs, that's not just a business move. That's them admitting something's really wrong. They cut 500 people in 2026. But here's the part that should worry you. They're not laying off cashiers or people working seasonal jobs. They're getting rid of logistics people, supply chain coordinators, the folks working behind the scenes. The invisible ones, making $70,000 to $100,000 a year, keeping everything flowing. Why would they do that? Just look at what you're paying for groceries. 3 years ago, you could fill up a basic cart for around $90. Now, just eggs, chicken, milk, and some canned stuff easily runs you $120. Food prices jumped, somewhere between 15 and 22%. Did your paycheck go up that much? Yeah, didn't think so. People still gotta eat, obviously, but they're shopping different now. Taking stuff out of the cart, buying cheaper brands, going to the store less, so Walmart's selling less. Things are moving slower through their system. Their warehouses have empty space sitting there. And that's when that really cold question comes up. How many people do we actually need anymore? Turns out, the machines have an answer. AI running inventory, scanners doing everything automatically, robots working all night. They don't call in sick, don't take breaks, don't ever ask for a raise. If you're just looking at a spreadsheet, they're basically perfect. When Walmart cuts jobs like this, they're really admitting something pretty dark. American shoppers are out of money. Even their whole sell cheap stuff to everybody model is starting to break down. And here's where it gets even worse. If Walmart, literally, selling food and toilet paper, stuff people need to survive, is pulling back like this, what do you think happens to companies trying to sell fancy new technology or big future plans? That takes us right into what's happening next. Number 9, Microsoft. When the people who built it get replaced. Microsoft used to be the safe choice, cutting-edge work, building the future. They just cut 6,000 jobs. But here's the thing, Microsoft is printing money. They make tens of billions every single year. So why? The AI they built is now replacing them. We're talking software engineers, cloud architects, security people earning $120,000 to $200,000 a year. The folks who actually built Windows, Office, Azure. The ones keeping systems running for millions of businesses around the world. Microsoft has thrown tens of billions of dollars at AI development. Just training one advanced AI model can cost $50 to $100 million. Their data centers use as much power as small cities. Something had to give. They chose people. Their internal AI can now write documentation, test code, find bugs, run operations, stuff that used to take entire teams of really smart people. The AI never gets tired, never needs a day off, never asks for a raise or a promotion. Here's the part that hits different. Nobody hates you. The system just doesn't need you anymore. What really hurts isn't just losing your job. It's realizing you became a math problem. Just a cost per hour calculation. You're 20 years working there? Doesn't make the algorithm run even 1 second faster. This isn't just Microsoft being weird. This is the pattern showing up everywhere now. Number 8. Amazon. Figuring out. How few people they really need Amazon completely changed how we live. 2-day shipping on pretty much everything. We all got used to instant gratification. Now they're testing something else. How fast they can remove people from the whole operation. They announced 14,000 cuts publicly, but people on the inside are saying it's closer to 30,000. And these aren't warehouse workers, technical people, cloud engineers, advertising folks, AI developers making $120,000 to $200,000. Why? Because they dumped over $50 billion into AI, cloud stuff, and automation. One modern warehouse costs $300 to $500 million to build, but once it's running, it goes 24/7. No back pain, no bathroom breaks, nobody asking for more money. The robots aren't just replacing a person here and there, they're replacing entire shifts, whole departments, complete job functions. And you're probably doing what everyone else is doing, buying less, cutting back, leaving stuff in your cart without checking out. Here's the scary part. Amazon isn't doing this because they're in trouble. They're testing out a model, one where people are basically optional. If it works for them, it's coming to wherever you work next. This connects to something bigger happening across pretty much every industry at once. Number 7. Salesforce. When family only. Lasts until the money gets tight. Salesforce always said they were different. They talked about Ohana. That's the Hawaiian word for family. A workplace that actually cared about warmth, people, taking care of each other. It wasn't just talk either. People actually joined because of that vibe. Not just for the money, but because they felt like they belonged somewhere. Then 4,000 jobs disappeared. Clean announcement. No drama. No long explanation. Customer service. Sales operations. Cloud consulting. Tech teams. People making anywhere from $90,000 to $180,000. Remote workers. Folks with perfect reviews on their record. So what happened to the whole family thing? AI-powered CRM systems happened. These things write emails, talk to customers, predict sales numbers, figure out customer behavior. All the work that used to need entire teams of support people and sales operations. How much are they saving? About $300 million every year. Meanwhile, their main customers, small and medium businesses, are cutting back on subscriptions. When interest rates go up and budgets get tight, paying $50 to $100 per person every month for software becomes a pretty easy thing to cut. Revenue slows down. Profit margins get squeezed. The family gets smaller. The truth lands pretty cold. Ohana means family right up until the spreadsheet says something different. Corporate culture? Turns out it's just marketing. When the money gets tight, those beautiful mission statements are the first thing that gets put away. This isn't really about one company being mean. It's about the whole system rewarding companies that do this. Number 6. UPS. When the trucks keep moving, but the people don't. UPS used to mean something solid. Union protection, health insurance, retirement you could count on. Schedules you could plan your life around. Real middle-class stability. Not flashy, not making you rich, but dependable. Decent. Then 48,000 jobs vanished. That's not just a big number, that's massive. This isn't some tech startup messing with their employee count. This is the actual bloodstream of how stuff gets delivered in America. Drivers, warehouse people, dispatchers, supervisors, folks making anywhere from $45,000 to almost $100,000. Long-time employees, people who built their whole careers there. The reason? Restructuring and automation. UPS put billions into sorting robots, smart warehouse systems, automated scanning. Each distribution center costs hundreds of millions to build, but in return, they save about $3 billion every single year. Robots don't go on strike, don't need vacation, don't negotiate contracts, and on top of that, online shopping is slowing down. People are tightening their budgets. Fewer orders means fewer packages. As stuff stops moving as fast, that same cold question comes back up. How many people do we still actually need? The trucks are still rolling. There's just way fewer people inside them now. Even these solid middle-class jobs, the ones protected by unions and decades of history, aren't safe anymore. If the middle class itself is getting put on the automation chopping block, who's going to be left to keep society from splitting completely in half? This pattern just keeps showing up, and it's speeding up. Number 5, Boeing. When keeping planes safe gets too expensive. Boeing meant American excellence for generations. We build the biggest planes. We fly the highest. We do it the safest. Then they cut 2,500 jobs. Not interns or office assistants, engineers, quality control people, flight safety specialists making $85,000 to $140,000 a year to do one really important job: make sure planes don't fall out of the sky. Just let that sit for a second. Boeing's sitting on over $31 billion in losses. Orders are slowing down. Regulators are all over them after years of really public safety screw-ups. They're still trying to fix old problems while new ones keep popping up. So what did they do? They decided to cut people faster than actually fixing the problems. Think about it like this. Imagine you take your car to a mechanic and you find out they're saving money by firing all the people who check the brakes. Would you feel safe driving that car? Would you trust that shop? When a plane manufacturer cuts the people who make sure planes are safe, you don't even need the plane to hit turbulence to feel nervous. But Boeing isn't really the main problem here. It's what this says. When an American icon, something that used to represent our best manufacturing, starts treating experienced engineers like they're just a cost to cut instead of the people keeping passengers safe, what does that tell you about how everything works now? Is this just temporary? Or is it proof that safety, quality, doing things right, all of that matters less than hitting the numbers on the quarterly report? If this can happen with airplanes, where one mistake means people die, what happens in other industries where the risks are slower, quieter, harder to see right away? That question takes us right to the next crack in the system. Number 4, General Motors, building a future. Nobody can actually afford electric cars. We're supposed to be our way out. Get away from depending on oil. Stop the pollution. Drag the American car industry into modern times. GM went all in. Poured over $35 billion into electric vehicles in just a few years. New factories, new battery technology, new software, presentations full of big promises about tomorrow. By 2026, they announced 3,400 job cuts. And here's the twist. They're not cutting old factory workers. They're cutting the future. Battery engineers, software developers, people working on next-generation drivetrains, the exact jobs that were supposed to be safe in this whole new economy thing. So what went wrong? Just walk through any GM dealership and you'll see it. Gorgeous electric vehicles lined up perfectly, clean, modern, impressive looking, and not moving. Your average electric car costs $50,000 to $60,000. Meanwhile, car loan interest rates are crushing people, and over 7% of Americans are already behind on their car payments. The brutal truth? Americans don't hate electric cars. They literally can't afford to buy the future. You can't sell someone a cleaner tomorrow when they're struggling just to pay this month's rent. You can't convince someone to invest in saving the planet when they're worried about saving their own household from falling apart. Every car sitting unsold on that lot isn't just inventory collecting dust. It's dead money, storage costs, weight on the company's balance sheet. And when that pressure builds up high enough, companies start taking back all those promises they made. There's this saying that's kind of funny but also devastating. You can't save the planet with cars that nobody can actually afford. The electric vehicle dream didn't die exactly, it just crashed head-on into stagnant wages, crushing debt, and interest rates that keep climbing. For thousands of GM workers, the shock isn't just about losing a job. It's realizing they thought they were building the future. But turns out the future was the first thing that got cut when money got tight. This shows something really important about how the system actually works now. And it leads right into another wall people thought would protect them breaking down. Number 3, IBM. When office workers learn what factory workers already knew for a really long time, Americans believed there was this invisible line. Factory workers? They were vulnerable to automation. But office workers, engineers, tech people, the ones wearing dress shirts and sitting in front of computer screens, they were safe. IBM was basically the symbol of that safety. A company that's been around for a century, stable culture, clear path forward in your career. People joined IBM thinking they'd retire from there decades later. But in 2026, IBM announced about 2,700 job cuts. And these aren't support staff getting let go. Cloud specialists, data analysts, cybersecurity experts, business consultants, the positions that were supposed to be the brains of everything. The reason they gave was short and simple: automation. IBM's invested heavily in their own internal artificial intelligence, enough AI to replace roughly 30% of the work. This one round of cuts alone will save them $250 million every single year. The numbers look great on paper, but people aren't numbers on a spreadsheet. Imagine this. You're 52 years old. You spent 20 years getting really good at their legacy systems, following all the right procedures, meeting every standard they set. Then one random Tuesday morning, someone tells you your job has been optimized. Not because you messed up, not because you're bad at what you do, but because a new system can do it faster, cheaper, and doesn't need to stop for lunch. Office workers are learning the exact same lesson that factory workers learned decades ago. What makes this hurt even more is the class thing happening underneath. A lot of people believed their college degree, their professional experience, staying loyal to the company. All of that was supposed to keep them protected when things got rough. But when AI moves faster than people can retrain for new skills, getting older suddenly goes from being an advantage to being a problem. So here's the big question. If even these intellectual jobs, the ones that were supposed to be the last safe place for the middle class, aren't safe anymore, then who actually is protected in this economy? This connects to our basic infrastructure starting to crack under the same pressure. Number 2, Verizon, cutting the people who keep us all connected. There are some industries you never think about until they just stop working. Phone and internet service is definitely one of them. You don't think about Verizon when you're FaceTiming your kids, when Netflix loads up smooth, when your GPS gets you through a rainstorm. But because it works so reliably, people forget something pretty important. Behind every phone call, there's an actual person making it work. Not magic, people. Then 2026 hit. Verizon announced about 15,000 job cuts. Not just office people. Network technicians, customer service reps, maintenance crews, middle managers, the people who keep everything running when the power goes out, when there's a snowstorm, when emergencies happen. Why would a company providing essential services do this? The answer is, they're getting squeezed from two directions. Verizon's been investing $8 to $10 billion every year into 5G infrastructure and network upgrades. That's not optional. That's what it costs just to stay competitive in this technology race. Meanwhile, regular people are doing something pretty normal. Downgrading their phone plans, switching from $80 a month plans to cheaper options with slower speeds and less data. Not because they don't need to stay connected, but because the bills just keep piling up. Competition's getting worse too. Low-cost carriers are pulling customers away with cheaper deals. Debt payments and the cost of all that infrastructure investment are squeezing profit margins from every direction. When the financial pressure hits a breaking point, companies do the same thing every time. Cut staff to save money. In this case, about $1.2 billion a year. Here's a statement that sounds harsh, but it's just the reality. Even essential services aren't essential anymore when it comes to keeping people on payroll. What makes people uneasy isn't just the job losses themselves. It's the bigger question sitting underneath. If the people who literally keep America connected are seen as costs that can be cut, where exactly is the line between essential and expendable anymore? This shows us the final piece of the pattern, where what the country needs runs straight into what companies can afford. Number 1. Intel, when national security runs into the reality of money. For decades, Intel has been way more than just a tech company. It's been a symbol of American industrial power. That Intel Inside sticker on millions of computers meant something, a promise. America doesn't just design technology. We actually build it right here at home. So when Intel announced about 20,000 job cuts, people weren't just concerned. They were confused. Because this is happening at the exact same time Washington won't shut up about supply chain security, making semiconductors in America, winning this global chip war. But making computer chips isn't like writing code. It's a game that needs massive amounts of money, time, and absolute precision. A modern semiconductor factory, they call it a fab, costs $15 to $20 billion just to build. That's before you even start counting the huge ongoing costs to keep it running. Imagine building a small city just to make silicon wafers thinner than a human hair. Intel made some big bets, building new fabs, making the old ones bigger. But while they were building, the whole game changed on them. The AI market exploded. But the demand shifted away from CPUs, which is what Intel's always been good at, toward GPUs. And that's where NVIDIA and Asian competitors are dominating. TSMC makes chips faster, cheaper, and more reliably. Intel got trapped between two forces crushing them from both sides. On one side, politicians and national security people pushing them to keep manufacturing in America. On the other side, the harsh reality that they're not making enough profit. When those two things crash into each other, the workers are usually the ones who end up absorbing the hit. National security sounds really inspiring until it's time to actually pay people. 20,000 job cuts isn't just a number. That's 20,000 six-figure salaries disappearing from communities that built themselves around Intel, from Arizona to Oregon to Ohio. Cities that grew up around these chip factories are now asking what happens when the factory gets smaller. The uncomfortable question nobody wants to say out loud. What happens when a national security strategy doesn't actually bring in enough money fast enough? This completes the pattern and shows what's really going on under the surface. The pattern you can't stop seeing once you notice it. What you just went through wasn't a list of 10 different companies doing random things. It's 10 pieces of the exact same puzzle. An economy where being loyal doesn't protect you anymore. Where having experience doesn't defend you. Where human work is increasingly getting measured against how efficiently a machine can do it. Nobody on this list is some evil villain. They're not the bad guys in a movie. They're just responding in ways that make sense to a system that's become increasingly unforgiving. The question isn't really about who's right and who's wrong anymore. The question is, where does this road actually end up? Look at the pattern. Walmart cuts logistics people because customers can't afford to buy enough stuff. Boeing cuts safety engineers because fixing the actual problems costs more than just cutting people. GM cuts battery engineers because nobody can afford the future they're building. IBM cuts cloud experts because AI does it cheaper. Microsoft cuts the people who built their systems because now the systems can build themselves. Salesforce cuts the family when profit margins start shrinking. Verizon cuts the people keeping America connected. Intel cuts manufacturing jobs even though it's supposedly a national security priority. UPS cuts drivers even though packages still need to get delivered. Amazon cuts everyone because they can. Every single story follows the exact same script. Technology moves forward. Costs go up. Regular people struggle. Companies optimize. People disappear. This isn't some temporary thing that'll correct itself. This is a fundamental reshaping of how the economy values human beings and what we contribute. The middle class got built on a pretty simple deal. Work hard, stay loyal, and you'll have some stability. That deal is breaking down right in front of us. Here's what keeps me up at night. These 1.1 million jobs aren't going to other workers somewhere else. They're not getting outsourced to another country. They're not even getting shipped overseas. They're just gone, replaced by code, algorithms, and machines that never get tired. And here's the part that should terrify everyone. This is just the beginning. The companies cutting jobs right now are the successful ones. They're profitable. They're growing. They're making billions. Just imagine what happens when companies that are actually struggling start doing the same math. What actually comes after this? Some people are going to say this is just creative destruction. The economy always adapts. New jobs will show up to replace the old ones. That's what happened during the Industrial Revolution. That's what happened when computers came along. But here's the difference this time. Those transitions took generations to play out. People had time to adjust. Kids grew up learning completely new skills. Whole communities could shift and adapt. This time, the change is happening in years, not generations. A 50-year-old logistics coordinator can't just become an AI engineer overnight. A 45-year-old software developer can't compete with algorithms that work 24/7 and never need rest. Other people are going to say we need better safety nets, universal basic income, retraining programs, stronger unions. Maybe they're right. But all of that needs political will to actually happen. And right now, the political system seems just as broken as the economic one. The uncomfortable truth is we're watching something that's never really happened before. An economy that's getting more productive while needing fewer and fewer people to actually run it. And nobody really knows how this story ends. What happens to a society where work, the thing that gave people purpose, identity, a way to survive, becomes optional for the system, but absolutely necessary for the people? What happens when the connection between putting in effort and getting rewarded for it completely falls apart? What happens when being really good at your job isn't enough anymore because a machine can do it better for less money? These aren't just theoretical questions. They're getting answered right now in real time through pink slips, severance packages, and LinkedIn posts about finding new opportunities. The American promise used to be really simple. If you work hard, you'll be okay. For millions of people, that promise is quietly getting deleted from the system. What you actually need to pay attention. Have you started seeing these warning signs where you work? Has your company started talking a lot about efficiency, optimization, or digital transformation? Those are often just code words for what's coming next. Do you think this is just temporary restructuring that'll pass? Or is this the new normal we're heading toward? And most importantly, what do we actually do about it? Because complaining about it won't change anything. Ignoring it definitely won't make it stop. The only real way forward is understanding what's actually happening and preparing yourself for a future that's going to look nothing like the past. This isn't about trying to scare you. It's about being aware. The economy is changing way faster than most people realize, and the workers who make it through this won't be the ones who work the hardest or stay the most loyal. They'll be the ones who see what's coming and adapt before it's too late. So pay attention, watch these patterns, and ask yourself the hardest question of all. In an economy that needs fewer humans every single day, what actually makes you irreplaceable? I really want to hear from you. Have you been seeing these changes happen where you work? Do you think this is necessary progress, or are we trading away something we're never going to get back? Share what you're thinking in the comments. If this video opened your eyes to something, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This is just analytical commentary based on public information and economic trends. We're not trying to attack anyone or give you career advice. We're just trying to understand what's really happening underneath all of this. Thanks for sticking around until the very end. I'll see you in the next one.